Gurubhyo Namah. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 6, Dhyana Yogam. Sloka 10. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasistita ekaki yata chittatma nirashira parigraha. Yogi is the one who stays in the secret and controls the consciousness which makes the mind and body work. The one free of desires, what others possess, yogi will not be taking the same, and always in Brahman, yogi needs to attach. What does it mean by secret in terms of Adhyatmikata is that the things that will only get understood when one attains that level. Even if we were able to hear or come across the same before the dedicated time, we will not be able to identify or realize the same. The time here depicts the realization that is happening within us. When the realization happens, we can say that we arrived at that time. The mind and the body always does its work. Action is always happening. One should not be going behind the mind. That level of mind will always be pulsating. We should not be wasting our time to control the mind. What is really required is the purification of the chit. The vasanas existing within us needs to be aiding in the path towards the Supreme, not to move against it. The consciousness which makes the mind and body work needs to be controlled. That control of the consciousness can only be achieved when one reaches the level of a yogi. In that state of yogi, there will not be any desire for anything that exists. That yogi will always be attached in Brahman. That yogi always likes to be attached to the level of Supreme. Sloka 11. Shuchau deshe pratishtapya sthiramasanam natyuchritam nati nicham Gita-Jgnakarmasamnyasa. Sloka 12. Tatraikagram manakritva yata chittendriya kriya upavishyasane yunjyat yogamatma vishuddhaye. In a pure place, in the area which is neither in height nor in low area, down to the cloth, the covering of skin to be placed, and down to it, kusha grass needs to be placed. After making the one sitting place which is non-shaking, remaining in that asana, mind made stabilized after controlling the interaction of the antakarana and the senses, one needs to affirm in that yoga for getting purification of Atman or Atma Shuddhi. The level of yogi is clearly getting analyzed here. In the manner of the yajna, everything needs to be happening. Here, the skin that is mentioned is a reference. To depict a level, the same is being told. In the common level of thinking, one need not approach and deal with the same. What level of ignorance and state of animals is existing in us, that level will be eliminated, and over it, one will subside. In a stabilized manner, the yogi will be existing. That stability comes through true knowledge. That interaction of mind and the body with everything will be controlled by self when the true knowledge comes. Always the attachment towards the Brahman is the goal. Towards it, each and every time, yogi will be moving. When one goes through the same, that purification will be happening from within. That Shuddhi of the Atman will take place then. Sloka 13. Samam kaya shiro grivam tharayanna chalam stira samprekshya nasikagram swam dishaschanavalokayan. Sloka 14. Prashandatma vigatabhi brahmachari vrate stita manasamyamyamachitto yukta asita matpara. The body, head and the neck, who keeps the same straight without any movement, he who always sits after looking onto the edge of one's own nose, does not focus on other directions, the one with the pure and peaceful mind, the one without fear, the one who stays in the vrata of brahmachari, the one who after keeping the mind aside, he who affirms the chit in the supreme, should stay in the manner of the absolute and should remain as yoga yukta. That level of yoga yukta, we already went through it. Here, it is not that in the dhyana one needs to be doing everything in particular ways. What is the most apt state for one to remain without any condition of hindrance, or that particular state which allows us to be in that silence or focus without the wobble of mind, that is the perfect position for one to be in the state of dhyana. For attaining that, the stages as explained above can be taken into consideration too. Brahmachari is not a particular sect, it is a condition. When one moves with the thinking of Brahman always, when one moves in that level of supreme always, that one person is termed as Brahmachari. When one realizes these conditions, the truth is revealed there. At that moment, the fear in everything will be vanishing. If we have something, attachment towards anything, if we have an intention that whether the same will be lost from us, that state will bring fear from within. When truth becomes visible, all these states gets eliminated. Shloka 15. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasa shantim nirvana paramam matsamstamadhigacchati. The yogi who was able to come over the mind like this makes the Atman attached towards that supreme will achieve peace that brings the state of nirvana and the dependence on me, the absolute. As discussed previously too, the mind is a trap. No one should ever go in the path of the mind. Mind can be equated to the moon. There will always be fluctuations in the conditions that can be seen on the moon. Similar is the mind too. Hence, corrections of mind is not what is required. What exactly required is the purification of the chit. To overcome the mind, one needs that real dedication and true knowledge. Whenever we get trapped on the Maya or illusion, even though we try, there are chances that we might again fail to the play of mind in everything that we do. The one who is able to overcome that play of mind will be elevating the level of the self towards that of the Supreme. If one was able to attach that particular mind to the Supreme, then one's journey will be smooth. Even though we encounter the hardest of the situations, we will be able to deal with it freely. For that kind of a person, peace will be there with him for sure. There, the state of I will not exist. There, complete dependence and surrenderance in the Supreme happens. Shloka 16. Natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikandamanashnata nachati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva cha Arjuna. O Arjuna, this yogam for the one who consumes more ahara will not be attainable. For the one who doesn't consume much ahara too, this is not attainable. For the one who sleeps more too, and the one who doesn't, this is not attainable. In everything, what we require, the same only should be consumed. Everything that we got is not to be utilized by ourselves alone. It came to us, since it should be as per the previous birth. If we are having anything in excess, it is not ours. It is someone else. But since it came towards us, through us, it needs to reach the person who is supposed to be getting it. That is the karma existing with us. Hence, while the truth is being thought of, each and every one has got the karma existing to be fulfilled on the ones eligible. What is really required for our survival, that only should be taken. Whether it is a materialistic or anything, for dress, food, in sleep, in walk, in talk, in everything, what level is required, the same should only be taken, or one should move to that level only. That is a manner that is put forward. When living in this world, in what manner one should live, a perfect state in a similar way is explained here. Sloka 17. Yuktahara viharasya yuktacheshtasya karmasu yuktaswapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. The one who has particular or determined ahara and viharas, the one who has the approach of yoga yukta towards karma, the best of the intellectual sleep and awakening existing, this yogam will act as the one which destroys the sorrows. The state of dukkha or sorrow means the state where we face difficulty to move ahead or get through. The one who is clear and purified in self, and the one who has understood that reality, for him he will be moving with the apt or accurate ways that needs to be followed in everything that is coming across. As said just before in the previous sloka too, what manner one needs to follow while living in this world, if one moves in a similar way, he will be able to pass through everything that comes across him. He who moves in that manner will not be facing hindrance in anything. All the conditions of dukkha or sorrow existing in him will be destroyed. Sloka 18. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyevavatishtade nisprihas sarvakamebhyo yukta ityuchyate tada. When does the stabilized mind remain in Atman permanently, then he is told as the yukta or the yogi who comes out of all the desires. When a state will be reached where the Atman and I cannot be distinguished, I and the others does not exist, when does that kind of a realization generates within one? When does one sees the existence of everything in Atman and as Atman, he will not be attaching to anything at all. He will experience a state of freeness. An independent level will exist in him then. When that reality of Atman is understood, no desires will be existing within him. The only attachment that comes at that moment will be towards the Supreme or the Absolute. When one elevates to that level, he is said to be in that level of Yukta or Yogi. Sloka 19. Yatha deepo nivadasto nimgate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmana. Like how a lighted lamp in a place free of breeze stands still, the same state can be equated to the Atman of a yogi who attained the stability of mind. Here, what is being put forward is the state of oneness. The duality does not exist here. When the interaction of the mind comes, the breeze comes. For the yogi who has attained that stability, any of the interactions will not be affected. That level of breeze itself will be eliminated for that yogi. Before him, the state of place of mind will not be happening. The pure knowledge will be shining there. The Guru, the Absolute will be shining there. Nothing other than that Supreme, that yogi relies. In that state, only the Guru flourishes. Further discussion on the same will be continued.